Kenya is located in eastern Africa, bordering the Indian Ocean, and is in between Somalia and Tanzania. Kenya's geography is varied, with most of the northeast flat, bush-covered plain. The remainder of the country includes beaches, lakes, the Great Rift Valley, and Mount Kenya. Even though only 1/3 of Kenya's land is actually used for agriculture, Kenya depends on it as one of the mainstays of the country. Agriculture contributes 24% of the GDP and 27% of GDP from indirect links of agriculture via manufacturing, distribution, and other services. Kenya's main agricultural products produced are tea, coffee, corn, wheat, and Kenya's natural resources include limestone, soda ash, and salt. We believe that the best course for this country is to continue developing its agricultural base, as it both helps the country financially as well as supports the food supply for the entire population. Approximately 80% of Kenya's rural population, including farmers, workers, and the unemployed, are dependent upon agriculture, and 70% of Kenya's employment is agriculturally based. Two of the main issues facing Kenya's economy and country as a whole are poverty and health. Well over 65% of Kenya's population is living in poverty. Poverty can be defined as lack of or inadequate food or its cash equivalent within a particular household, and aggravated by minimal or lack of other basic needs. The basic needs referred to include food, clothing, shelter, and other livelihoods. Kenya's development efforts as independence have emphasized poverty reduction through economic growth, employment creation, and the provision of basic social services. Debt reduction, improved technology and education, and family planning would help reduce poverty levels. Rural dwellers and women are mostly affected by health and poverty issues. As you can see, Kenya has a high fertility rate and low contraceptive prevalence. Kenya also struggles with lack of clean and safe water. The formation of wells would help decrease this problem greatly. As you can see in this pie chart, HIV and AIDS is the leading cause of death in Kenya. Because this is the highest percentage, we want to educate and start safe-sex campaigns, train midwives, and create community workshops. The picture on the left shows the population density and shows much of the population is condensed around Lake Victoria, while there is very sparse populations around Lake Turkana. The picture on the right shows different areas around Lake Turkana that were studied for soil and geographical data, and shows that there are about 123,500 acres that can support farming given the right irrigation methods and systems. Agriculture accounts for 80% of Kenya's jobs. Our program uses Israeli drip irrigation system to create arable land for farming around Lake Turkana. This will create many jobs and revenue. Our program uses Israeli drip irrigation system to create arable land for farming. Israel leads the world in agricultural technologies and systems. Their success shows in their ability to convert desert land into real farming land. Using these same technologies and methods, we will invest $5.4 billion into buying kits from the Israeli company Amaron. These kits come with fertilizer and seeds for each season per acre. They also include 10,000-liter tanks, filters, valves, personal gear, and basic operational and agribusiness training to farmers. The program will cost an initial $4.5 billion, cost $1.2 billion to maintain it, and supply fertilizer and seeds for an additional 10 years. We will use this in 123,500 acres around Lake Turkana that have the soil conditions to satisfy this program. Agriculture accounts for 80% of Kenya's jobs. Our program uses Israeli drip irrigation system to create arable land for farming around Lake Turkana. This will create many new jobs and revenue that are desperately needed in the developing economy. We decided to use shipping containers for health clinics. A shipping container is a great building block for a portable clinic because there is already a worldwide system for transportation of each container. The steel container provides a very sturdy structure to build a clinic. Also, shipping containers are not merely a steel shelter, but a secure, temperature-stable, sound-isolated environment enabling a care provider to better serve. Health education is very important for Kenya's development. Safe-sex campaigns will spread knowledge and access to contraceptives. Contraceptives will prevent the spread of STIs and teenage pregnancies. Since most pregnancies are not attended by a trained midwife, training midwives will reduce the amount of childbirth deaths and deformities. With help from the Water Project, we could provide Kenya with safe and clean drinking water by creating wells. Each well can service upwards of 500 people. Community workshops will help prevent the spread of diseases and help people cope with their illnesses. The first tier of our education plan focuses on reproductive health. We will provide health education workshops targeted towards couples and married individuals, so that both men and women can work together to resolve the HIV and AIDS epidemic. By encouraging cooperation between couples, we believe the education program will correct the disproportionate percentage of women suffering from HIV and AIDS, which is pictured to the left. The education workshops entail how HIV and AIDS is contracted, what steps couples can take to prevent contraction, where to access antiretroviral drugs, how to cope with the virus, and crucially launching culturally sensitive safe sex campaigns. These components are depicted on the diagram on the lower right. The second tier of education deals with Kenya's ethnic diversity. The goal is to create a sense of Kenyan identity that trumps ethnic affiliation. In order to do this, we will work with 33 schools spanning different ethnic regions in Kenya. Our curriculum promotes inter-ethnic cooperation by implementing an obligatory diversity course and bi-monthly community building projects within the existing curriculum. The problems evident in Kenya are only a small portion of land is actually farmable, poor irrigation systems, high rate of HIV and AIDS, high fertility rates, high death rates, high poverty rate, and no access to medical care. The breakdown of funds are as follows: $1.7 billion to education, $1.4 billion to infrastructure, $1.5 billion to health, and $5.4 billion to irrigation.